Any chance you remember where you were in July of 2011, July 5th to be exact? Because I sure do. I was in the exact room that I had been in for the 6 long weeks leading up to that date. A courtroom in Orlando, Florida, where Caylee Anthony, on that date, was tried for and acquitted of the murder of her 2-year-old daughter, Caylee. July 5th was the beginning of the rest of Caylee Anthony's life, her free life. And where is Caylee tonight? I'm not exactly sure, but I can tell you that she was here yesterday, caught by TMZ on what appears to be a date in Manchester, New Hampshire, of all places. She has covered up her infamous Bella Vita tattoo. That happened a few years back, but that is definitely Caylee right there. And whatever she's up to, 14 years post-acquittal, it's got to beat the alternative, which a lot of people really still think she deserved. Because just imagine how different her dinner would have been had there been maybe a different crop of jurors, or maybe a different prosecutor, or maybe a different defense team. But that is how the system works. And Caylee Anthony is free to come and go and live her life as she pleases, going on dates in whatever state she wants to go on with her new tattoos. And also photographers are free. They are free to take her picture, even more than a decade after her infamous acquittal. A decade after the O.J. Simpson murder trial captivated people around the world. Another murder case made its way onto our TV screens, and another name became infamous. In 2008, a missing toddler from a quiet Orlando suburb became the focus of international news. Her mother's name was Caylee Anthony, and her trial for the little girl's death would grip the nation.
Most mothers panic if their child disappears for an hour. This mom, she waited for a month and told a story that kept falling apart. Caylee Anthony had just turned 2. She lived in Orlando with her mother and her grandparents. For 31 days, her mother said Caylee was with the nanny. But there was no nanny. Caylee Anthony was Caylee's mother, and the first person to raise any alarm wasn't Caylee. It was her own mother, Cindy. When Cindy called 911, her voice cracked with panic. She told the dispatcher she was concerned about her daughter's car. But even in that same call, Cindy tried to hold things together. She said Caylee had been lying, that she hadn't seen Caylee in weeks, that something was very wrong.
911, what's your emergency? I called a little bit ago, the deputy sheriff. I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. We're talking about a 3-year-old little girl. My daughter finally admitted that the baby's in the store. I need to find her.
Your daughter admitted that the baby is where?
But the babysitter took her a month ago. My daughter's been looking for her. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. And she just admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name?
Caylee, C-A-Y-L-E-E, Anthony.
Caylee Anthony?
Yes.
How long has she been missing for?
I have not seen her since the 7th of June.
Is your daughter there?
Yes.
Can I speak with her?
Okay, Spanish Sheriff's Department, they want to talk to you. Answer the question. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you tell me what's going on a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell me a little bit what's going on?
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
And you know who has her?
I know who has her. I've tried to contact her. I actually received a phone call today, now from a number that is no longer in service. I did get to speak to my daughter for about a minute.
Who has her? Do you have a name?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Caylee Anthony was born in March 1986 in Warren, Ohio. Caylee moved to Orlando, Florida with her family. Her father, George, was a former police officer turned security guard. Her mother, Cindy, worked as a nurse. Caylee had an older brother named Lee. Her parents, George and Cindy, took on much of Caylee's care. They gave Caylee her own room, fed her, clothed her, and essentially became her primary caregivers, while Caylee lived what many described as the lifestyle of a single woman in her early 20s. Casey dated several men during this period. She would often leave Caylee with her parents while she went out with friends or stayed at boyfriends' apartments. According to Casey, she employed a nanny whom she called Zanny. When family members asked about this nanny, Casey provided detailed stories.
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. She's been my nanny for about a year and a half, almost 2 years.
She said Zanny was introduced to her by a coworker. She claimed he paid for the nanny services and that Zanny watched both his son and Caylee. When Cindy asked to meet Zanny or have contact information, Casey always had excuses. The last confirmed sighting of Caylee was June 15, Father's Day. On June 16, 2008, George Anthony later testified that he saw Casey leave the house with Caylee at 12:50 p.m. This was the last time anyone would see Caylee. Casey told her family she was going on a work trip to Tampa, Florida. She said she would take Caylee with her and that Zanny would watch Caylee during her work meetings. But Casey wasn't going to Tampa for work. Phone records show she stayed in the Orlando area. She went to her boyfriend's apartment, but Caylee wasn't with her. Casey's behavior was extensively documented. She attended parties, went to nightclubs, and participated in contests. She got a tattoo on her shoulder that read Bella Vita, which means beautiful life in Italian. Security cameras captured her at various locations, always without Caylee. On June 30th, Casey's car was towed from the Amscott parking lot to a car service. George Anthony received a letter notifying him that his car had been impounded. This confused George because he thought Casey was in Tampa for work. George and Cindy went to retrieve the abandoned car from the tow yard. When they opened the car, both George and the tow yard worker noticed the car had an unusual condition. George, with his background in law enforcement, later said he was concerned about what he observed. Cindy immediately tried to contact Casey. When she couldn't reach her, Cindy called Casey's friend to find out where she was. That friend told Cindy that Casey wasn't in Jacksonville as she claimed, but was staying with Tony Lazzaro, her boyfriend, in Orlando. Cindy drove to Tony's apartment to confront her daughter. When she arrived, she found Casey and Tony relaxing in the living room. Cindy demanded to know where Caylee was. Casey said she was with Zanny. When Cindy insisted on picking up Caylee immediately, Casey became defensive and evasive. She couldn't provide a specific location for the pickup. Frustrated and alarmed, Cindy called 911. When officers arrived, they didn't find Caylee. What they found was a 22-year-old woman, calm, offering a name they hadn't heard yet, Zanny. Casey told detectives that Caylee had been with Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, her nanny, that she'd dropped her daughter off at an apartment, and that when she'd come back, the nanny and Caylee were missing. She claimed she had spent the next month searching for her daughter on her own. When asked why she didn't report Caylee missing immediately, Casey said she was scared and thought she could handle the situation herself.
And you know who has her?
I know who has her. I've tried to contact her. I actually received a phone call today, now from a number that is no longer in service. I did get to speak to my daughter for about a minute.
Who has her? Do you have a name?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. She's been my nanny for about a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago?
I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her, which was stupid.
There was a real person with the name Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, but she wasn't a nanny. She had never met Casey, and she had never watched Caylee. According to later reports, the real Zenaida had visited the apartment on the same day as Casey and filled out an information card. This card allegedly contained details that matched what Casey later told police about the fictional nanny. Detectives quickly realized that the entire nanny story was fabricated. That's when things changed. From that moment on, everything Casey said was under scrutiny. She was taken in for questioning, and police asked her again, "Where is Caylee?" Casey said she didn't know. She appeared emotional, but officers noted that she never once said her daughter was in immediate danger. She never begged them to find her quickly. Officers examined the car thoroughly. The car's condition raised questions about Casey's story. There were concerning elements about the vehicle that investigators wanted to understand better. Casey was taken into custody, first for giving false statements, then for child neglect. And finally, she faced serious legal proceedings, and during all this time, her story kept changing. She said she got a call from Caylee that her father might know more. She made various claims about family members that were later disputed and never proven. None of these new claims could be verified, and when asked why she waited 31 days to report her daughter missing, she told officers that she was scared. But the question still stood: where was Caylee? During this period, a utility worker had been trying to get police attention. While working as a meter reader, he had spotted what he believed were important items in a wooded area near the Anthony home. This time, he had looked more closely himself. He said he found what appeared to be significant items in a wooded area less than a mile from the Anthony home. When authorities arrived, they made an important discovery. They found personal items that belonged to Caylee, including a laundry bag and a Winnie the Pooh blanket. Experts were brought in to examine what had been found. Due to the time that had passed and environmental factors, experts could not determine exactly what happened to Caylee. The missing person case now had new information that changed everything. Authorities believed Caylee had been missing from the very beginning, that Casey had lied about everything, that the car's condition, the lies, and now the discovery in the wooded area all pointed in one direction. But when the case went to legal proceedings, things took a surprising turn. The prosecution came in confident. They said this case was about motive, deception, and opportunity. Their theory: Caylee Anthony didn't want to be a mother anymore. They showed the photos Casey out at clubs, laughing, drinking, even entering a contest at a nightclub, all in the month Caylee was missing. They said she wanted freedom, and Caylee was in the way. The jury saw internet search records pulled from the family computer. The prosecution presented various searches that had been conducted on the computer, including searches related to topics that became relevant to the case. Prosecutors presented their timeline of Casey's activities during the 31 days. They showed security footage of Casey at various locations without Caylee. They played jailhouse phone calls where Casey seemed more concerned about her reputation than her missing child. They brought in experts who testified about what was found related to Casey's car and the items discovered in December. The prosecution built their case around Casey's lies, her behavior, the timeline of events, and the physical findings. The prosecution theorized that Casey was responsible for her daughter's disappearance and had concealed what happened. But then came the defense. They told a very different story. Casey's attorney presented an alternative explanation. According to the defense, what happened to Caylee was accidental. The defense claimed there had been a family emergency that was then covered up. The defense suggested that Casey didn't report what happened because she had grown up in a family that kept secrets. They claimed that Casey had been taught from a young age to hide the truth, and that this explained her behavior during the 31 days. The defense also suggested that George Anthony had manipulated the situation to make Casey appear responsible. They questioned his credibility and pointed to inconsistencies in his statements to police. George denied all allegations. He said he had nothing to do with Caylee's disappearance. He testified that the last time he saw Caylee, she was healthy and happy. George's testimony was emotionally difficult. He became emotional on the stand while describing his love for his granddaughter. He firmly denied any involvement in what happened. Caylee Anthony also testified. She attempted to take responsibility for some of the computer searches, claiming she had been researching information related to her dogs eating bamboo in the yard. She said she was looking up plant information when other results appeared. However, prosecution records showed that Cindy was at work during the times many of these searches were conducted. And while the prosecution had theories, they acknowledged they had no direct proof of exactly what happened to Caylee. No eyewitness, no video recording, no clear explanation of what occurred. The prosecution's case was built entirely on circumstantial information: Casey's lies, her behavior during the 31 days, the car's condition, the internet searches, and the discovery in the wooded area. Casey never testified, but her behavior stayed under a spotlight. Legal experts debated whether Casey should testify in her own defense. The decision not to have her testify meant the jury never heard her directly address the allegations, but it also meant she couldn't be cross-examined about her changing stories and alleged lies. After 6 weeks of testimony, they came to a decision. On July 5, 2011, the legal outcome was announced. The legal outcome surprised many people. Guilty only of providing false information to law enforcement. People outside the courthouse were shocked. The reaction was immediate and intense. Many people expressed disbelief about the legal outcome. Legal experts debated whether the prosecution had proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt, but legally the proceedings had concluded. She was sentenced to 4 years in prison for the 4 counts of lying to police, with credit for time already served. This meant she would be released just days after the legal outcome. Casey was released from jail on July 17, 2011, and the debate still hasn't stopped. Because the truth is, this case didn't end with the legal outcome. It left behind a question: what happened to Caylee? And to this day nobody really knows. After her release, Caylee Anthony vanished from the public eye. For a while she lived with family, stayed off social media, and avoided interviews. But the headlines didn't stop. And neither did the anger. Years passed. Caylee kept a low profile. Then in 2017, she spoke publicly for the first time in an interview. "I don't care what anyone thinks about me," she said. "I'm okay with myself. I sleep pretty good at night." That comment hit hard. Because for so many people, especially parents, the idea of sleeping good when your child's case is still a mystery didn't sit right. She claimed she still didn't know what happened to Caylee, that some things didn't add up even for her, that she wasn't smart enough to pull off the kind of cover-up people accused her of. Some believed Casey's story, others said it was just another version of the same lies, but the fact remained: the legal proceedings had already concluded. She couldn't face the same legal proceedings again due to double jeopardy protections. What made the story unforgettable wasn't just the legal drama, it was everything that surrounded it: the footage of Caylee at nightclubs while her daughter was missing, the jailhouse calls where she seemed more concerned about her reputation than her child, the way officers struggled to pin down a clear timeline, the way experts disagreed on every piece of information, and at the center of it all, a missing child. Caylee's case remains one of the most talked about missing child cases in modern American history. Remember, danger can wear a friendly face. Stay aware, look out for others, and reach out if you need help. See you in the next case on Deranged Women. Thanks for watching.